just agreed with the government of Grenada to take over and complete the Kawana Bay project. Construction on it started, or it stalled, I should say, when the former developer had a falling out with the previous administration in Grenada. Can you tell us a little bit about the conversations that led to Aura Caribbean taking over the project?
Sure. So Aura has about 1 million square feet of developable land in Grenada, and we had a kind of a 5-year phased program of building hotels. We wanted to double the high-end room stock in Grenada. So obviously Silver Sands was the first property, Beach House by Silver Sands we just opened in February, and then our third phase was going to be on Grand Anse Beach, where we have a 7-acre parcel. About the same time as we were looking at designing that, the Kawana Bay issue was being resolved by government.
Which is also on Grand Anse Beach.
Correct, right next door to the art project. So government were in the process of purchasing that or taking that property back from the previous developer. And it's at that point that we got into negotiations with government about potentially taking it over and taking it on as a viable project. Obviously, it's a little easier to start with somewhat of a canvas than just a blank canvas on a greenfield site, which we would have had to have done with the other property. So at least with this one, we've got some good, strong bones on which we can build a nice hotel around.
I want to understand the deal that you have with the government for this new development. First of all, how many CBI units, how many citizenships can you sell for this project?
So we're currently conditionally approved with the agency. We still have to provide them with a lot of information with regards to what are we going to do differently to the previous developer. Obviously, we're keeping the buildings and the original structures and the infrastructure. We're obviously going to have to add our own flair to fixtures, fittings, furniture, etc. And then maybe a few subtle design changes. Based on the construction costs that we believe it will take to build, market, sell, and finish this project, it's about $100 million. So based on that, divided by the current 220, you're looking at around 450 investment vehicles that will be allowed to, look for investors for once we're approved. So we're conditionally approved. I anticipate approval within the next 6 to 8 weeks, based on information we've submitted, because we've had to form new companies, do new design plans, etc., etc. But hopefully, all things being equal, by the summer of this year, we'll be able to start actively marketing the project.
What's it like to take over a half-finished project that's been idling, I should add, for a while? Can you simply pick up where the former developer left off, or do you have to go back to the drawing board?
Well, there had to be a lot of due diligence done on the structure, its integrity, because there was a lot of exposed rebar, a lot of the buildings were exposed, they were literally just concrete forms. So I think the first step was ascertaining, is it viable to continue with this project, or do we have to knock it down and start again? Once we've got past that stage, then it's just a case of deciding, what it is that we're going to build, how we're going to build it, and what's it going to look like. So it's, I don't know if it's easier than starting something fresh yourself. I'm sure there are more complications. It's like buying a house.
Yeah.
When you take down a wall and you realize maybe the electricity's not working, or you've got dry rot, or there are going to be issues that come up which we're going to have to deal with. But I think we've had engineers come in. We flew the original engineers that were involved in the project back to take a look at it for us. And so every bit of information that we can have garnered, we've done that. And based on what we've heard, we're happy to move forward with the building as it is and turn it into a Silver Sands.
Now, the old Kawana Bay project had several different phases.
Yeah.
My understanding is that phase 1 was obviously quite advanced. When do you expect to be able to complete the various different phases? Are you going to have the same phases? Are you going to have different phases?
Well, there are currently 5 main buildings, 5 main buildings. There's the one that's right on the ocean front, which is the hotel rooms and the reception and possibly conference and banqueting facilities. And then there are 4 buildings behind that higher up, which would be more hotel rooms. In our agreement with government, when we acquired the property, we agreed with them that we would have the project built in 2 years. So from when we start, which I'm hoping will be October of this year, in 2 years' time, so by the end of 2026, early 2027, the project will be open.
Obviously, we've just spoken to Thomas Anthony about application numbers. Grenada has had 2 record years. It's been largely thanks to Russians. I don't think that's any secret. But now, of course, as part of the accords with the U.S. Treasury, Grenada is no longer accepting Russians.
Yep.
So now that the Russians are no longer able to apply, what factors do you think are going to keep application volume elevated in Grenada?
Well, I think Grenada, first of all, has always been a boutique program. We've never gone after thousands of applications. I think as Thomas highlighted earlier, we had 500, it started off 300, 400, 500. It wasn't until last year that we had this kind of bumper run. So I don't think we've ever strived to achieve a lot of applications. However, in saying that, I think the price increase is going to give a little bit of a bump with regards to the donation fund.
Right, you'll become more competitive relative to the donation.
Yeah, and I think people will want to get in earlier,
before
June the 30th, and save that $50,000. I mean, and that goes for all the Caribbean countries. So I'm sure that will create a little bit of a bump, if you like. Whether or not that translates into a price increase for the Section 11, we still don't know, because obviously they'll want to keep a delta between Section 10 and Section 11 to keep the donation competitive. So we're kind of anticipating possibly somewhat of a price hike in Section 11, maybe, although trying to get that information is proving difficult, but I know that discussions are being had. And I also think it's fair to say that the quality of developments in Grenada, I think, and I'll stand to be corrected on this, I think Grenada has more completed, finished CBI projects that have gone from greenfield site to operational property than any other Caribbean country. There's at least half a dozen, I can count on the top of my head now. And I think because of that, because we're turning out quality product, because we're turning out viable, achievable, realistic projects, that people will want to come and invest with us. And I don't think maybe we won't realize the numbers of 2023 again, but I still think we will continue to have a consistent flow of people coming into the Grenada program.